Most people know there are two types of option contracts, but did you know most people don't have a clue if an option is cheap or expensive? In this video, I want to share with you the ways that most people value options, the way that I value options, and my top 3 most undervalued options for July. So let's get started. Hey everyone, Tom Gentile here. Welcome to Patterns and Profits. I'm America's #1 pattern trader here to help you discover patterns that repeat and profits that add up. You can help me out by liking and subscribing to the channel and hit that notification bell if and only if you want all my videos when they are uploaded. One more thing, and I gotta say this is not investment advice. Past performance isn't indicative of future results. All right, so I said at the beginning of the video that most people understand the types of options. There are 2 types of options. There are call options, there are put options. And as an option buyer, a call option gives you the right to buy, while a put option gives you the right to sell. Now, we could get into all the particulars and details of this, but that's where I want to go right now as far as option types. That's pretty much what most people know. What most people don't understand is what makes an option cheap or expensive. So there's a couple of different ways that people have tried to figure this out. The first one is looking at price. So which option is cheaper? I have a TSCO, all right, that is Tractor Supply Company, the August 30th calls for $225. And I also have up here the IBIT, that's the iShares Bitcoin Index, August 32 call for $4. Now, immediately what goes to most people is the 225 call is cheaper. It's cheaper because it only costs $225, where the IBIT 32 call is $4. Now, let me just say this. Both of these are near money options, okay? It's not like I got one that's far out of the money and one that's not. They're both near money options. They're both very close to each other. So upon first, looking at this, you got to think, well, that 30 call for $225 is cheaper than the 32 call for $4. If you're just going to use price, you might be right. But the problem with using price is you don't know enough about something called implied volatility. And I use implied volatility for not only option strategies, but I use them to help me price options. Now, somewhere during the evolution of an option trader, they run across the VIX. The VIX is what's called the fear gauge. It's market expectations of 30-day volatility. This is a great place to start because what you can do is you can look at the VIX, which is an average of implied volatility. And maybe, for instance, if the VIX is above 60, that's all out panic. All right. When it's high, people say that's the time to buy. When it's low, that's the time to go. What are we just talking about? They're talking about the S&P 500, not any individual stock. All right. But options are expensive when the VIX gets high, all right, on the S&P 500, and options are cheap when the VIX gets low on the S&P 500. And to me, anything below 20 is relatively cheap. The problem is that you can use the VIX to gauge market fear, but it does not help you for individual options. So you can't go back and say, well, the VIX was higher, the VIX was low, so it makes both the IBIT options or the Tractor Supply options cheap, or maybe it makes them expensive. No. What I do is I look at each individual option. I look at the volatility of each individual option. I chart the volatility of each individual option because each stock option has its own fear and greed chart built in. We can chart those options. We can chart the time value of those options and determine whether they are cheap or expensive based on where that time value has been during the life cycle of that option. So what I do is I go back a year on implied volatility. And what we do is we look at those near money options. And if we're near the top of the line over the course of the year, that's expensive. If we're near the bottom of that line chart over the year, that's where options are cheap, and that's where I like to buy options. Now, I said I'd give you some deep discount opportunities today, so here they are. As of right now, in mid-July, I see USAR, all right? That's an $18.48 stock, U.S. rare earth minerals, cheap in the last year. If you look at all the options and the pricing over the last year, they're as cheap as they've ever been in the last year. Same goes for GameStop. And you've heard me say a dozen times, I'm not a meme trader. I'm not a day trader. I'm a rules-based trader. Well, GameStop is a meme stock, but it is as cheap. The options on GameStop are as cheap as they've been in the last year. And finally, rounding out the top three is Centrus Energy, LEU, the same thing. We don't have the year's worth of data on that yet, but it's as low as it's been during the life cycle of those options. If you look at each, here's USA Rare Earth, and you can see here that it's running with the stock price. So as this rare earth mineral stock goes up, so does its volatility. As it comes down, so does its volatility. So it's come down, but look what's happened to the option price. That's the implied volatility in red. It's as low as it has been all year long. GameStop, same situation. GameStop's moved back and forth. It moved down and the options went up. All right. And then again here, it moved down and the options went up. But what's happened is GameStop's kind of stabilized right here in the low 20s. The options have cratered, making both calls and puts extremely cheap compared to where they've been in the last year. And finally, Centrus Energy. As you can see here, we have a bit of option data for it, but it has been on the high side. And now Centrus Energy is trading at about a 35% discount. Its options are trading at 35% discount compared to the highs that we saw last year. All right. Overall, this is all part of rules-based trading. And rules-based trading, to me, has these parts. You spot the opportunity, you plan your trade, you execute and manage, and you rinse and repeat. And that's what we do here at Patterns and Profits. Again, hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, give it a like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell if you want to get all my videos the moment I release them. Have a great day. I'll see you on the next one. Bye now.